Hey, what up, everybody? This is Stevie Breach coming to you today. As you can see, by going on a lot of news stories, basically are running wrestlers' reaction to the Vince McMahon Austin podcast. I knew that honestly that the Vince McMahon podcast with Stone Cold Steve Austin was going to be a big deal. Honestly, you could see like when Triple H did Chris Jericho's, it made a lot of the news stories and a lot of the go rounds. But basically one of the ones that I was really looking forward to reading was basically Jack Swagger. This was an interview he did with Mike Jones of DC 101. Basically where they sat down and they had an interview and they talked all about everything that was going on in wrestling. From Jack Swagger talking about the NXT talent and basically how it's a cutthroat mentality down there. He talked about him going through FCW, and he said that at the new power plant, basically, there's a sign up on the wall that just basically puts it the easiest way you can see. Is just basically is when one comes in, one has to go out. Basically, that means like with guys like Kenta, guys with Prince Devitt. You got Kevin Steen down there. Those are the three biggest names that people that people know, that people are talking about down in NXT right now. At the Performance Center is basically, for those three names to come in, there was three guys that got signed once before that they thought was going to be the future of the business, that they put all this money into bringing to Florida and pumping these trainers down there to get them ready to go. There's three guys that had to got released in order for them to have spots to be filled right there. And you're always hearing about Triple H going out and finding these talents, whether if it's from Gerald Briscoe going to the NCAA wrestling finals and finding guys there, or maybe finding guys that don't get drafted into the NFL, much like Roman Reigns, and finding a guy like that. There's lots of ways that they're finding guys, whether if it's from professional bodybuilding, finding guys to bring them in. The NXT Performance Center is something that's always sort of moving and shaking. You're always hearing about guys that you don't really know who they are getting released, and bringing new names in there. It's always a constant changing thing. Triple H, it's his baby down there, and that's basically what he's taking care of and getting to. Jack Swagger talked about the Rusev feud, basically saying that it's good to get another chance at this deal. If you go back to SummerSlam, some people might think of it as a joke, but Jack Swagger easily became one of the biggest baby faces in wrestling. I don't know if it's because it's one of the easiest things in wrestling is basically you get like some sort of a Russian heel, you get some sort of a big American. Jack Swagger, a all American was sort of like his biggest thing for the longest time. As a heel, and then he actually gets to use it as a baby face, and who knows if it worked to the point where he was supposed to work. Who knows if it was just supposed to be a one-off deal with Rusev coming off of the big win to Biggie Langston. Maybe it was just supposed to be a 1 month deal, and all of a sudden, bam, Jack Swagger's getting wins over Cesaro, and he's becoming one of the guys there. And once that feud died out, he ended up going down to a feud with Bo Dallas, and then Bo Dallas ended up getting a feud after that, while Swagger was sort of waiting for his next thing to do. Rusev, and it's easy to see that Jack Swagger is one of my favorite guys. It's pretty easy to see that he's not going to be the guy to beat Rusev. But as a Jack Swagger fan, a guy that's rooting for him, honestly, it's awesome to see that this guy's going to have another pay-per-view program, and it's easy to see that he's not falling off. There's so many times as being a Jack Swagger fan, after you could say easily the Fallen World Heavyweight Championship run, after seeing he got the push of winning Elimination Chamber. He was supposed to win the championship at WrestleMania 29 from Alberto Del Rio to try and make Del Rio a bigger face. Along the run, having the comeback win. So he was supposed to get another World Heavyweight Championship run at WrestleMania 29. He got arrested for the marijuana stuff, and got in trouble for, I think they gave him a DWI for the whole deal. And he didn't get a slap on the wrist. He actually really did get in trouble, and that made, the TMZ, it made the rounds of everybody going down. And it sucks to see a guy that's supposed to be getting a main event push at WrestleMania, you'll get in trouble. It has a whole bunch of eggs just basically thrown at WWE, just basically saying, that these guys are animals. It's not as bad as it was with Hacksaw Jim Duggan, and the Iron Sheik got busted for cocaine on the New Jersey Turnpike, where then basically everybody was running stories about why are these two guys that hate each other riding around in a car together from town to town. But, it does suck to see your guy get up there. And Swagger ended up getting by scot-free because it was a feud that Vince McMahon thought was going to get a lot of mainstream attention, basically with the whole, United States, closing off their borders to Mexico and wanting Alberto Del Rio and Ricardo Rodriguez to go back to where they came from. But I'm just happy to see that Swagger's going to be used on the TLC pay-per-view, and even it is a match that people don't really care about. But as long as everybody can be John Cena or Randy Orton or Brock Lesnar fans, but I think it's fun to sort of root for guys that are I don't want to say on the bottom, but guys that are on the rise. When I became a fan of Jack Swagger in 2009, I guess it was, when he was in ECW, when he won the the ECW championship, it was like, yeah. And then he went over to Raw and he was feuding for the US belt, which didn't happen. I think he wrestled at SummerSlam 2009, and then out of the blue he gets added to the Money in the Bank, and I was just happy that he's going to be wrestling on WrestleMania 26, and he wins the Money in the Bank, and then before I can even blink, he wins the World Heavyweight Championship. I mean, like, that is an awesome rise to the top. And basically, to get down to the meat and the potatoes of the video, basically with Vince McMahon's comments about the locker room and the ambition, basically where Vince was basically saying that none of these guys are grabbing for the brass ring. Everybody's sort of walking around with this attitude as they don't want to piss anybody off, and Vince is saying, well, if you don't want to get in trouble, that's the main thing you have to do, is just not piss anybody off. But I think honestly, what Austin was getting at with Vince, and what Vince was getting at with Austin without saying it, is that WWE wants a guy. I think they want a guy a lot like Seth Rollins. If you go back and you think about what they said in the Seth Rollins documentary about the Shield, basically where he was having a hard time with developmental, basically with the fact that he thought he was the best wrestler there, and he didn't understand why WWE didn't have anything to do for him, and he really pushed Terry Taylor to the edge, where basically Triple H had to sit Seth Rollins down and say, Terry Taylor is the guy who's in charge down here. You're not the guy in charge, and if I have to come down here again, we're just gonna let you go. I mean, you're one hell of a talent, but you have to go along with the system. You can't be the one guy that sort of gets, to go above everybody else, no matter if you're the NXT champion or what. But, if I have to come down here and I hear one more thing about you, you're gone. And, that's sort of weird, because now you got Austin and you got, Vince, saying that once you get to the main roster, maybe pushing some buttons is what's going to get you all the way to the top. And, basically, Swagger says this is an environment where literally hundreds of thousands of people want to be on the roster, and from there's like 75 guys that actually have this job. To get here, you have to work very ambitiously, but to stay here, you need even more. It takes a lot of drive and a lot of hard work. I can only speak for myself that I have gotten hungrier. As far as the rest of the locker room, it's tough, but you see the finish line, and sometimes it's hard to do. And I think that's basically, just basically saying that, Swagger's gotten a lot of chances in WWE, with the two that I've talked about, with him winning the World Heavyweight Championship after WrestleMania 26 by cashing in on Chris Jericho, and then also, winning the Elimination Chamber, and then also, being in the main event of WrestleMania 29 against Alberto Del Rio. Not many guys like this, fall off after this and get that next chance to really get there. I think that Swagger does have a bright spot in the WWE. I think this definitely is the guy that they're not going to give up on, but I think he's given every reason to. I mean, if you think about the last United States Championship run that Jack Swagger had, I thought that was going to be a big deal, and it ends up he just defends the title on Superstars on a show that nobody watches until they finally have a makeshift match at, I think he was on a Monday Night Raw. It wasn't even on a pay-per-view, where he drops the championship to Santino in his first TV title defense. But I'm a big fan of Jack. I want him to keep pushing, and it sounds like he really does. I can't wait to see that he actually gets a featured match at WrestleMania. This year he was back at WrestleMania, but he wrestled on the pre-show. I think if he keeps going this way, he's going to need something very, very lucky in order to get on the WrestleMania 31 card. He just hasn't been really one of the featured guys. He's had some of the best, one of the best feuds of the year. He's actually going to be featured on the best of WWE 2014 pay-per-views with his match against Rusev, the flag match from SummerSlam. And he is one of the guys that's actually pushed Rusev to the edge. He has lost the matches, but he's had chances to win those matches at both times. The match before SummerSlam, I can't remember the name of the pay-per-view. It wasn't Extreme Rules. It may have been Battleground. I'm not sure. Where he actually had the ankle lock submission on Rusev, but it was outside of the ring. Rusev was able to kick Swagger off of him, and he went right into the ring post where he got knocked out. He fell down to the floor, and he got counted out as Rusev was able to get back in there. Rusev is the one guy who's actually sold for Swagger. Swagger's had the ankle lock on him, and basically he sold it until the next night that he was on Monday Night Raw. When he walked to the ring, he still hobbled on it. I gotta respect Rusev for that. A lot of guys get the ankle lock on, and then they might win the match, and they just walk to the back like it's no tomorrow. But Rusev knows that basically this is like this guy's finisher. You have to make it look like it's $1 million, and it's the way wrestling used to be back in the old days. And it's one of the reasons why I really like Rusev a lot as well. But I'm really pushing for Jack, and I pushed for him for a long time. You guys know this from watching my videos. So maybe he'll get another shot. I'm really hoping for it.